Welcome back to Football Coach, episode 44. I use a lot of different filters. Each time I vary it just a little bit because it gives you a lot of different options, a lot of different reviews. One filter that I'm using for the moment as desperation to find a good offensive lineman who's willing to sign with us this year. It is really hitting the late stages of holy crap, I'm getting desperate. And searching just offensive linemen, no junior college guys, anyone without an offer that I have not scouted yet and is not one star, leaves me with a very short list. Just 10 recruits remaining. And getting started on, I had just enough scouting left to get one on each and then add them to my target list as I cleared some space. And so we're back to full with 40, and I'm literally down to just 3 additional 2-star high school recruits that I haven't already scouted or have begun scouting. So I'm going to be fresh out of 2 stars and above on the offensive line before long, and I'm still not happy with any of the options. I've been thrilled with a couple of the options, but the competition has been too fierce. So far, the offensive line is a barren landscape for us. We've reached the playoff selection show. Now, we're not qualified for the playoff. We're not going to be competing in that, though I do feel like a conference championship could happen at some stage with this conference. But there are a couple programs that are definitely stronger than the rest, maybe 3 to 4 of them, and you might be able to finish ahead of 1 or 2 in a given year, but I doubt we can finish ahead of all 4. That being said, making a bowl game actually is a possibility. We are qualified 5 and 7, but only so many 5 and 7 programs are going to get in. 6 and 5 and above is always going to make a bowl game the way this game's set up, but 5 and 7, yeah, I don't know, maybe. Records across the top 25 looks pretty good getting into the playoff. There's our conference winner on automatic. SMU 10-3 on the season and conference champion. They're just in 81-78. Like, we were better than they are, but they're a 4-star prestige program. Georgia comes in just at number 11 this year. Notre Dame at 10. Alabama 9. Oklahoma 8. Michigan State 7. Nebraska is 6. And Ohio State number 5. The 4 with the byes. UW. Washington 12-1 this season. LSU 12-1. USC undefeated 13-0 conference champion, and Clemson 13-0 conference champion. Can this be the year that an undefeated finally hangs on to win a championship? Well, there's 2 chances for it this year. Okay, moment of truth. And no, I don't see our name. I do not see our name. In fact, there's 3 5 and 7 programs. Northwestern, Florida State, and Kentucky. Only 3 5 and 7 programs got a bowl game. So we do not get a bowl game. No surprise. The injury chunk of our season really hurt us. When we were healthy, we were 5 and 3. When we weren't healthy, or at least mostly healthy, we were 0 and 4. And that 5 and 3 included that Ohio State loss. We were 5 and 2 versus everybody else. In terms of targets for the season, even though we had a fantastic final game of the year, and it did make a big difference on our opponent's yardage per game, the target was set lower than it's been in previous years, maybe because of the lower prestige of our league, because it was still a medium target. Normally it's been either 480 or 490, I think. This year it was 460. We got it down to 469, but that was not quite enough. Our defense struggled at times to stop the run. We gave up more run yardage than we did pass yardage, but we did achieve the other goal comfortably. So we'll get $750K, but not the extra $1.5 million. Luckily, during the final game of the season, we did target the tight end 4 times during that game, enough to get him over the minimum threshold, so we will gain 6 coach integrity for that. Or no, that was what was on the line. We'll gain 2. But we did comfortably get our 3-win target for the year, and at 5-7 ranked 65th. So we will gain some prestige, and the athletic director should be fairly happy. But we also have a coach who very well could retire this year. Heisman has gone to the senior quarterback out of Washington, where the defensive player of the year is a D lineman out of Georgia, and the freshman of the year, true freshman quarterback for Ohio State, who's pushed them all the way to number 4. 21-3. That is an incredible year for a true freshman. It's Tulane's quarterback who has won the player of the year for our conference, USF. Their defensive lineman has won the defensive player of the year. Why would the highest ranked team? I guess they won the conference. Gets coach of the year. Better chance to win all conference honors in a smaller conference like this. But not one of our players, not one player has made first team all conference. But we do have 3 bright spots on the second team all defense. 2 redshirt senior wide receivers, Post and Simpkins, have both made it to the all-conference second team. And our D lineman, Buckley, redshirt senior, only a 77 overall, but 60 tackles, 15 for loss, 8 sacks, and 1 forced fumble has seen him make second team all-conference. And the year has finished with yet another champion who has lost at least 1 game. So the 2 undefeateds both get defeated, and neither were playing in the championship game. But going backwards, it's Alabama, who will eventually play there, the number 9 seed, with a 3-point victory over Oklahoma. And then SMU getting hammered by Ohio State. No surprise there. I mean, we played them to start the year. They were number 1 at the start of the season with a freshman quarterback. How are they ranked number 1 with a freshman quarterback, right? True freshman. But they did win that game, and comfortably. Nebraska 30-24 over Georgia, and Michigan State beating Notre Dame. Michigan State also then upsetting USC, one of the 2 undefeated teams, in double overtime, 40-37 for the 7-2 upset. LSU beating Nebraska, Ohio State beating Washington, and Clemson, both of them out in the quarterfinals, both undefeated teams, 39-20 Alabama with that upset, and then Alabama beating Ohio State by a single point, solitary point, 15-14, very, very, very low score. Is that 5 field goals? Is that a go for 2? A bold late strategy, let's go for the win? I don't know, but that's an incredible result there. LSU just beating Michigan State 38-34, and LSU beating Alabama in the national championship 24-22 to be crowned champions this year. Fairly important thing to note is that both Hawaii and Syracuse did make bowl games, and Memphis for that matter, so we did have teams from our conference into some of these smaller bowls. And as we've gone up against an Arizona State many times, a Cal many times, you feel like eventually you can actually win one of those bowl games if we can get there. We were close this year. We had enough wins to qualify, but obviously ended up the unselected team of that set. Looks like we're going to have to get to about 6-6 if we want to make a bowl game in future seasons. But with a final ranking of 62nd, because we were actually, for the first time, close enough in record to some of those teams that did participate in bowl games with their losses, and knocks them down just a hair. And for example, Hawaii was ranked 1 spot above us. They played a bowl game. We beat them head-to-head, and then they go and lose that bowl game as well to end up, 6-7 to end the season. But with the head-to-head, we get the edge. We get the edge and rank above them, or most likely they're certainly one of the ones that you would think we've pushed ahead of here to wrap up this season. 62nd's the highest we have been ranked at the end of the year. Obviously, 5-7 is 2 games better than any season that we've had prior. A 5-4 conference record. It's a great start to our time in the conference. 0-3 out of conference with only one mega team in those 3 games is rough. But again, the 4 injuries, the timing on those, or not the 4 injuries, the 5-6 injuries that we had, the 4 straight losses, largely due to a lot of injuries, came during that stretch where we played at least one of those guys. Coach opinion goes +10. It's positive. First time we've seen it. And we see a boost in the fan base. +2. They were happy with that. We are almost back into an A+, meaning we are near one more good season like this, 5 wins or plus, next year, and we will be back into A+ territory, meaning we'll get a better home advantage going forward, and even that much more capable of securing victories. Only 5 integrity gained, though, despite being very successful this year. Looks like Welch is not going to retire, and we've had such a successful season that he actually gained XP. Exceeded expectations, was +900 to offset the 1,700 loss. That's still more to make up, but 5 wins. That's another 500. 1 against rival. There's such a thing? I wouldn't know. And academics bonus. We actually had a net gain, and he gets back his upgrade. And of course, the offense, we don't need to put it back into the offense. We can put it into training. We can't put it into recruiting. 10 is the max. But we can give him a point into training. That's cool. Now, he's barely. It looks like he is 0 points on. He has made it to the exact point that he needs to get back to level 19. Even with a good year next year, I don't see him. Well, maybe he could gain. He's going to retire so soon, though. I mean, he's 69, right? But the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator also gaining a point. 2,000 the gain for our OC. And again, we're already good here, so we don't need to put points into that. We do need to put points into training. Okay, I'm finding we've got a little boost. We've got a little edge in recruiting now. And the prestige, I think, is something we're going to need. We need other areas to boost that. For now, we need to get back to player development being integral. So we are going to put points into training for both of them. Almost 2,000 gained for the defensive coordinator as well. No badge. We're 1 level away, 2 levels away, and never going to happen again. He's only gone backwards due to age in recent years, getting worse and worse as a coach. Gone ahead and added 2 years to the deal for our defensive coordinator with a small pay raise. Well, our young offensive coordinator is looking to head to Colorado to take over as their offensive coordinator. It is progression for him. Obviously, we are a small-time program, and he's pretty good already. I mean, he's level 17 and just 38 years of age. The contract is insured, meaning we would get half of the money back, which would be nice, but $150K is small potatoes. We don't need to worry about that. I'm not going to make a revolving thing of trying to make counter offers, but we'll take a look. I mean, this guy has made good progress for us and could help us quite a bit next year. If it's not a substantial increase, 500K is what Colorado's offering. I think we can get away. Gosh, he's looking for a pretty hefty increase though. 800K. It's an extra $500,000 per year. But all in, that's not that big. That is not that big. I like the insurance part if we were going to go that way and take the extra 50K. We will not do this again in the future, but we could do this once. If somebody else comes along, we'll let them go. But we're going to keep our defensive coordinator easily enough. 9 retirements this year. Only 4 of them even had a job at this stage. Some of the retirements probably coming. I mean, a couple of these guys were much younger. Few of them really were younger. But if they're already losing levels, and I mean, look how low these guys are, you could see why that would happen. And we've got a couple guys retiring after 1 in 11 years. Only one head coach out though. Well, the first good thing is that Norman is not entering the draft. The mock draft had him in the 5th round. He was thinking about going if he was going to be a high draft pick. That not being the case, he's opted out for that part, but there was still fear over losing. But we picked up a couple wins right at the end of the season and may have alleviated the fears in terms of wins for some of those guys down the stretch. I've not looked into it to see where we're at, but in terms of graduation, yeah, we're losing a couple big ones in Cale Elliott and Peyton Simpkins. Elliott, who we got in as a redshirt freshman transfer, and it's fantastic. I mean, he only played 48 games for us, but 86 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception in all that time, but 22 pass deflections. Peyton Simpkins, who was all conference this year, finished with over 2,000 yards in his 46 games. Cale Elliott, his draft mock is 2nd round, 7th for McEwen, and Simpkins going undrafted as a 90 overall. That's position for you. Overall, we've got 19 graduates this year. We've got a few guys that were inconsequential, a couple running backs that were inconsequential, but when you have Norman around, just keeping somebody to fill those voids and not have to constantly replace through transfer, just to fill out. This is going to be a weird year. I think we're going to drop in running backs pretty quick because also Aiden Connor has graduated, and if we are retaining Norman, the running backs behind that aren't the seniors, the 3 seniors graduating, so that's already thinning us down a lot. But the other running backs, there's a couple of them that are like, hey, I want play time. We can offer that to one, but we certainly can't offer that to both. So this could be farewell to another one, and suddenly you got 4 running backs out. And are we able to guarantee Norman? What does he want? We don't know yet. Is he among those who are going to look to transfer out? Wow, none of their concerns were alleviated. We got to 5 wins on the season, and the guys that were thinking about leaving because we didn't have enough wins, they're all on this list. Also, all of the guys concerned about playtime. I mean, we're talking about a 74 plus for the entire group. 8 players potentially transferring out, which would suddenly bring us down to just 64 scholarships. We have 6 recruits incoming at the moment. That's crazy. That's not where we want to be. We have definitely got to do some work to try to retain some of these guys. All right, well, our 3 wants to wins are right at the top. How many are they looking for? It is going to be senior year for Norman, meaning I'm more inclined to give him what he's asking for with that. 7 games? Holy crap. How much prestige is on the line? 6, or integrity. Well, we're going to put that on the line. We need Norman for next year. I don't know if we're going to get to 7. 7? Like, we're a 1-star prestige program. What in the world? Okay, well, what about the other 2? Because we certainly need them. They are right near the top of the depth chart right now. 7 games. 7 games. Or $1 million. Let me see what we got before we commit to that. 8 games for the other one, also $1 million. Do I have my? I don't have all of my NIL money right now. Boy, that's risky. That is risky, especially because these guys are younger, meaning you fail to get 7 wins. Say we get 6. We have a fantastic year and go 6-6. Both of those guys would be gone. Not only do we take the, 6, 6, 6, take 18 integrity lost for a guy who's about to retire. So I'm really okay with that part. Norman's a senior. He's going to be graduating anyway. That's why I'm willing to put that on the line. These guys, going into junior year, going into sophomore year, these are guys that I still have 2 or 3 years left in terms of eligibility, and I'm looking to hang on to. We just won 5 games this season as a 1-star prestige program, And yet, not only are they still upset, but they want to set the bar at 7 and 8. Like, our conference winner didn't get that far. And these are key guys for next year. Key guys. I've already been able to take 8 and cut it down to just 3. So coming up with solutions for 5 guys. Some of it was simple playing time stuff where they are taking over as the number 1 or number 2 guy anyway, so they should easily get the snaps. We have, of course, promised 7 games 1 to Norman, but he's a senior, so putting that integrity on the line when we have plenty of opportunities to gain that from others means I'm not too worried. And I'm not too worried about the integrity for the other 3 guys either. But we have a playing time 1 that I just don't think we can give. And we would then be coughing up 10 coach integrity for that. Yeah, no, not worth it. We are going to lose our soon-to-be senior athletic running back who's got good potential and great durability. It sucks that he's not going to get to play his senior year because he was going to get to play. He absolutely in the rotation, but I'd rather get younger than make some sort of crazy promise, and it's going to be really hard to give 2 guys 30% snaps while being behind Norman, who's going to get the huge majority. I mean, he's plus 10 on these guys. As long as he stays healthy, Norman is going to play a lot. So giving 30% snaps to the second guy is hard enough. The only mess that remains is figuring out what to do with his offensive line. We've already noted how hard it's been to recruit offensive line this year. Now, I've finally found 2 guys with a potential at okay durability. One of them is actually a pretty good player, so he's better than the average one that we signed. He's on the higher end, so that's good. The other one's on the lower end. And in terms of those B potential guys, there's no B pluses. It's a bunch of B minuses, maybe a couple of Bs, and durabilities for those guys fall into that B kind of category. So there's no outstanding durability and solid, but maybe not going to develop a ton. Like, there's no great options in there. Besides, the one pretty good A minus, but he's only got like a C plus durability. So it's an iffy group. It is a very, very iffy group, and I hate for us to suddenly get put on the spot and lose more guys. Now, we do have one strong, soon-to-be senior lacking durability, but that's our entire offensive line. They all keep losing it. Durability. None of them have the durability that they were brought in with, except for Fleming, who we've promised 60% of snaps to stick around. But we got 2 guys that want to win. I got 2.33 mil. I think I'm going to have to go in that direction. We got 7 or 8. I don't think we're going to make 8. And it's a redshirt freshman. We're going to give the money to him to stick around. We're going to convince him to stay using the money. But 1.1? Not enough for the other guy. So do I want to put 7 on the line times 2? That's 12 integrity. Based on the age of the coach, I'm going to take that risk. We need these guys. I don't think we're making 8 wins. I don't think we're making 7. But at least we're only losing 12 integrity instead of 18. We can offset some of that. And even if this guy retires on us, that 12 integrity loss is going to put us into a negative balance below that 50% threshold. And he retires and we only close the gap towards 50% by so much. Negative integrity hurts your ability to sign guys. And the last thing we need is to go back to a young coach who can't sign guys because he or the program has bad integrity, has integrity issues. That is a concern. But all of a sudden, we're losing only 1 player now. 14 scholarships remain. Now, we've got a lot of scholarships still to offer for the year, and it has a lot to do with it. We are not deep quantity-wise, volume-wise, at any position. None. We have needs everywhere. And look at the recruiting class that I have capable out there still. Yeah, we'll fill some of those voids, and this recruiting class is going to be fine. But we've got room for 14 more. That's a lot already. And with only one player transferring out, those needs remain high. And amazingly, for the very first time, only once in all these years have I cut less than the 3 free guys that we can cut. We've cut more than the 3 quite a few times. There's one guy that I'd probably cut in normal circumstances, but we lack the depth. It's a linebacker who's going into senior year. Now, if he was a redshirt sophomore instead of a redshirt junior, I'd get rid of him. But at this point, he is probably going to be good enough to get snaps next year, meaning not off the depth chart. And that senior year, you tend to see a bigger jump, meaning he might actually move up the depth chart and not just get some snaps, but get consistent snaps. He's not going to be a great player. He's not going to be considered a starter, but, an okay, worthy senior who's going to get his 1 year of play and do something for us. Other years I might cut him, but we just lack depth, and we've got plenty of scholarships still to offer out there. So for the literal first time, nobody's cut. Heisman winner Saul Curtis went number 1 in the draft, even though he's only an 88 overall. He is A+ potential and great durability, though. Fantastic player. And an 105 overall rated corner out of Oregon has gone second in the draft. For the first time ever, we've had 5 players. 5 players ended up getting drafted. 3 of them in the 7th round, mind you, but 5. Kel Elliott did go in the 2nd round, 15th. Is that the highest we've had somebody drafted? Possibly. Simpkins all the way down to round 6, though. Pick 3, so very early in the round. But Connor, the junior college transfer who was too good to ignore, the first player that I've had intentionally not redshirt since the early days of this series, went pick 3 of the final round. Zane Bond got drafted. He went 21st in the 7th. And McGowan, 29th. 1 pick away from the last spot in the draft. I know they have a special name for that. Tour de France, Lanterne Rouge. I forget what it is here. But Tom Brady went in the 7th round. You can be great if you went in the 7th round. All of these guys are good, though. I mean, all of them are mid-80s plus. School records for the year. Lucas Sewell setting a lot of career records. By the way, we're supposed to win 7 games next year. Sewell's graduating. Sewell is graduating, so we are replacing the quarterback, so it's going to be a down year. It's going to be harder to get to 7 wins. But you never know if we stay healthy. I think we could still easily get 5+ wins on pretty much a yearly basis at this rate. Anyway, 7's a different matter. So 8,800 career passing yards, nearly 800 completions at 58.6%, 42 pass touchdowns, and 35 interceptions. This year in particular flipped that from a negative balance to a positive balance. Finally, he had a good year for that. This year is 21-10, plus 11 to an overall plus 7. It came down to this year. Came down to some easier competition on a regular basis. Simpkins had 166 career catches and 314 targets. That's a lot of incompletions. That's not a good pass completion percentage, by the way. Single season records. Sewell, all over, 63.9% this year. That's what we need to be seeing more often. That's still not a great percentage, but 7.5 yards per play. Pass efficiency, 138. Buckley had 15 tackles for a loss and 8 sacks. No wonder he made all conference. Too bad he was a senior. And individual game records, only one this year. Pass completions by Sewell in the loss to Memphis. who is one of the top teams in the league. Team records, 4 of them this year. Points per game, 26.7. That's a record. Yards per game, 420. Passing yards, 280. And the offensive talent coming in at an almost 83 of an 82.8. But we also had a couple game records, the offensive talent, and the final game of the year against Hawaii. The opponent passing yards, the opposition holding them under 100. It's the first time we've done it, folks. That was a record. As we shift into signing day and go to wrap this episode up, that long process, I've been through it here, and I've found everything that there is to find out there, and we have had a number of competitive battles. We learned lessons about NIL. If you don't offer it, anybody else does, you get a massive penalty and you will lose. Period. So for transfers, one of the key components, besides no competition for the shoe-in ones, the key component otherwise is you've got to be 75% value NIL to have much of a chance. And I've been able to distribute about 5 NIL deals, and I do have a feeling that some of them are going to stick and that we are going to sign some of these guys. Plus, there are those freebies, those gimmies that are left over. 28 total recruits that we're going after to 14 scholarships. I do have 14 offers, or at least maximum that we could take, and there's a good chance that we'll have less than 14. I'd say that there's 2 positions that there's a decent chance that we won't get anybody, but don't need anybody extra, and I don't want anybody beyond the guys that are there. So if we don't sign them, so be it. I'm happy to take 12 and take those scholarships, and the next year able to sign 2 more guys. So roughly half of what we have here is high school, roughly half is transfer, and roughly half we'll end up taking. Well, there's a good start to the top of our list with good odds for our first 4 guys. We might be able to get all of them, so let's just get right into this thing. And we do. We win the first one. That did involve a NIL deal, but it was right at the minimum, and we had a massive advantage in the early pitch, in the ability to go after this guy. So I went pretty early into getting him that 75% of value NIL offer to set us up, and we had a huge lead. Hawaii closed that by trying to offer much more than we did. No matter though, he's going to come play for us. We got him. Now this one is different than what I normally go for, but linebacker was a position of need. This guy's going to be a senior next year, but he's got great potential and durability, and with that hopeful senior jump, this guy could be close to an 80. I'm hopeful that we can get about 6 points from him, or at least 5, so we can get a 78, 79 for next year to help out that linebacker group. And for a pretty small NIL, I think it was worth it. But we got a 50-50 chance, and this was close. True freshman, 67 overall, A- potential, and good durability. Running back was a little bit harder to fill. Loyal. I did put in an NIL, and there's a minimum. I could have gone higher and exceeded, and I added a little. I added like 20K to it, just to help give us a few more points and a little bit of a chance on this one. But Rutgers, we were slightly ahead, but Rutgers could outpitch us most likely this week. So this one might not go our way, and it might be close. It might be a close loss on this one. But I didn't want to commit more NIL because there are other running backs of a similar mold. You just don't have to waste too many resources to get after somebody, and it was more than a little loss. It was fairly substantial at 331. So the extra that I added in, it was a little short of where they came, and I figured that they could. I mean, we did head coach pitch ace, so did they. They added in the big NIL, and that was a bigger boost. So we'll end up down on our plan B at running back, but that's okay. We are going to get our top D lineman, though. A+ potential, true freshman, also with A durability. Great signing, even though he's only a 59 overall. A little bit slow for just now, or already 1 year in. He'll have redshirted, but hopefully he'll take off. He's got some immense quality that we would love to get, and this is somebody leaving his home state of Hawaii. All right, here's a battle that we should be winning. Maybe. Actually, you know what? I was number 2. So I'd be surprised if we have been able to overcome Syracuse on this one. B+ potential, A+ durability, true freshman, 68 overall for a cornerback. That's a little bit behind on where you want him to be overall, but the other stuff is so good, so worth it. And zone coverage is his area, and we were able to pitch him pretty well. Did we overcome Syracuse? No. Like I said, we were a second, and it was close. We closed the gap. We went for the minimum. They went for a little bit more, and that was, well, the difference was bigger, right? The little $35K that they added in, they went for the ace. Or they went for the ace, we went for the great. Gave them just a little bit of an edge, but even then, I think we're still, if we had matched this, I think we're still behind by 200 to 300. But not bad so far. We got 2 of our top targets, and the next group, we're going to nail all of them. Offensive lineman with a 61 overall and A potential, just a worrying durability. Not awful, though. I won't touch anybody with a D durability, but C's, we can get after those. There's a wide receiver. That's a good one. I was worried about South Carolina for a long time. They kept pitching throughout. And so I never had, this was an early season guy that we came from behind, overtook, and then just slowly pulled away, outpitching them just a little bit, but they never gave up on it. So I was always nervous that they'd be able to come in. Offensive lineman, our second one, we've got him. This one, again, a little lower on the durability. It's hard to find offensive linemen. This is going to be a big miss, though, with the wide receiver. I didn't offer. Okay. Oh, gosh, I did offer. Okay, this is the one I thought it was, and all three of them went for it. Did they not? They did. Jeez. Okay, it was going to take over $1 million to hit the 75%. A little over $1 million, like 1.1 million. I didn't have 1.1 million left, not even close to it. I ended up giving him every last dollar I had, which was 134K. I was in the lead. I was number 1. None of them, all 3 of them had offered scholarships. None of them had offered NIL deals. I was going fingers crossed that they wouldn't. Literally all 3 did, and we end up last. No matter, we get a good one out of high school, A- and B+, just a little bit lower. 66+ is where I'd like him to be. That guy was a 79, but he would have had 2 years of eligibility left. And we're also going to grab a running back here, 61 and B. 50-50 shot on this one. Tulsa was the favorite. I don't know how we would have overtaken them here. We were number 2 by a fair margin. Yeah, it wasn't very close, and they even offered an NIL. But the next group, we're getting all of them. Running back, linebacker, offensive lineman. That's number 3, I think, completing that class. Safety. We did get the safety. Okay, Minnesota never offered 66 B+, just a little bit lower durability. That's why I wasn't too worried about, he was bad enough. I was okay if we didn't get him. That was the second of the 2 safeties. Last page. We're doing pretty good so far on the expectations here. We are going to get this corner. Yes, we are. But here we are with guys that the couple guys that I offered and then gave up on when I realized that A, they needed $1 million+ in NIL as well, and B, there was an option that I preferred over them, and so I let go of them very early on in this process, but they got offers early. I was at 28. I had no problem offering a few guys. I had plenty of offers to spare. But we are going to land this D lineman who's an A plus potential and good durability. Redshirt freshman in that one. Only a 63 though, but good value. Here's another transfer. We're securing quite a few transfers here. And our last two guys, Kansas. Way ahead of me on this one. Tight end, I knew I wasn't going to get. I already got two guys coming out of high school. Really only needed to sign one anyway. Kind of needed two. And I've got two. Really didn't need three. Didn't need to overload, but I figured I could just cut one of the guys next year if I do land this one. And then Kansas came in big when they saw me coming in week 2 for the transfer market. And it was like, okay, yeah, that one's not happening. 2,400 points behind. And our final guy, junior college. This is the one that I wanted all along from day one. Just to make space, I took him out completely because Texas was so far ahead of us. This was my favorite target of the year. Junior college, yes, but a 73 overall offensive lineman with A- and B+, and especially with the absence of others in the market, I pitched this guy hard all the way from the preseason. I found him very early. Was super excited. He was one of the he was one of the day one targets though. He was one of the day one targets, and once A&M we were competing neck and neck with, but once Texas offered, like that was it. We were done. We had passed Stanford and Oklahoma and Baylor, and we were right there with A&M when they offered, and we were keeping pace, but Texas was still the leader all along, and then once they offered, they comfortably pulled away. They've got too much to offer, so that was inevitable. I gave up a long time ago. We ended up from 500 behind to 5,000 behind. We've got 4 3-star recruits is all. The rest are 2 stars this year, 20 in all. And you can see that there was a lot of competition. There was other guys that did offer, certainly to some of these. And we overcame a lot of guys to get some signings. Really, it was only 2. We won 2 battles, 2 proper battles this year. That was it. And both were against Hawaii as the main. We beat our rivals, and we finally take a couple of recruits away from them. Top class goes to Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Clemson, and Florida. And they've got us dead last this year with only 3 3-star high school recruits and 4 transfers. Like, actually, even for us, that ends up being pretty bad. However, looking at the group, there's a lot of talent in there, just not recognized. Well, we're looking at A-, B-, A-, A, couple B's. There's an A+, couple more B's, and another A-, another A-, another. There's an A+. This is the most A's I've ever had in a class. But only winning 2 battles head-to-head, I've focused too long, too hard on trying to get that next stage, that next level in recruitment. I'm going to start shifting my focus away from that. Winning these battles is hard. Winning it is rare. However, I didn't just win 2 battles, okay? There's more. Because there's early season battles on the high school guys that we won early on, and the others gave up or never offered because they weren't going to be the favorites. One is right here. Another is here. Rutgers was there all along. We beat him out. Vanderbilt, 400 on the last day. They were trying, but we were winning. So no, it's more than just 2 that we won. Here's others. We made a focused effort early on these guys, and got ahead. You could see that there's a good few battles that we just overtook. These guys just stopped pitching after a while. Now, some of them never pitched in the first place, but like Memphis absolutely did throughout, but we held them off by sizable margin. So really there's more than two. But I'm going to shift a little bit away from overworking recruiting with all my effort there, coach-wise, and focus a little more on getting them some game performance and development performance for our players, which was what I was doing in the first place with the original coaches. Earnings breakdown for the year actually looks good. The conference TV deal, we've lost $2.5 million every year. We went from 7.5 down to 5. So we are sacrificing some money playing in a smaller conference. However, the bronze donors still pay the same. We did get one bonus, just missed the other bonus. So from there, having one out of conference big contract pays well, pays better now that we have the 1-star prestige and smaller conference prestige. All of a sudden it's $13.5 million to play against an Ohio State instead of $12 million. Now, of course, 3-year cycles, right? We're not going to be able to collect this all the time. I'd like to keep one of these revolving. We still need to finish up the Clemson one. We now have the Ohio State one. We started a new one with Nashville, but we're freed up on a lot of the other stuff. So 1 to 2 for next year. But I think if we're going to try to secure 7 wins, I'm probably going to need a fairly open slate. I'll need at least 2 out of conference easy games. Well, we're still a 1-star program, but my oh my, it didn't take much for us to make some positive headway on this one. By finishing 62nd, we picked up 590 points and came very close to level 2. I don't know if we need to get to 1,000 or what the mark is, but we're just over 200 away. I actually think it's probably closer to 8 or 850. We're very close. So if we can have a decent year next year, finish better than 70th in the rankings, get another 4 wins, 5 wins, 6 or 7 wins next year, we will be a 2-star prestige program, and then the finances go up very quickly from there. Once we cover everything, we got ourselves a good amount of spare money, almost $10 million left over this year. We haven't had that in quite some time. NIL, we did spend almost $2 million this year. A big chunk of that was, of course, retaining one of our offensive linemen. But the coaching staff balance, where we dipped into that fund last year, we're slowly rebuilding it again, but still not back into a full year ahead. That's okay. But I've got to decide what I want to spend on. I think the most important thing besides marketing is going to be the facilities, and how much is it going to take to get level 9? $26 million. And we could pour in, that's actually $20 million extra, $20 million, because we already have maintenance cost. So max available could get us close, 10, 11 million off of level number 9. Of course, we'd get a better recruitment bonus. We'd get better player development during the off season, right? It's 10% right now, but that really adds up over a 5-year stretch of guys coming through the system. I think it's pretty obvious that the other direction to go right now would be marketing because of the poll vote bonus. Can we reach the next level right now? No, we would be short by $8 million. That's certainly closer than we would have in the facilities. But I've been hovering on the facilities for a long time. I think it's time to invest the max available, get a little bit closer to that 9th level, get there eventually. I think that's that next missing thing, because we really upped the development of our roster year to year to year, we need to get to level 9. And then we can stay there for a while until we really pick up the prestige. But I think we'll get to level 9 and then we'll go right back to the marketing. No change for the boosters again this year. The next realignment won't happen until 2045, so we are staying put for a good while. For the upcoming year, we're not going to make quite as much money this year, as we're not going to be able to take on a new major payout just yet, because the Clemson one, it's starting to get dangerously close to expiring, and we would have to repay in full plus a penalty if we don't fulfill the contract. So Clemson, who's heading into, or just finished second this year and was undefeated going in, we've got 2 more to go and we've already done 6 years. So I've only got 4 years to get 2 more games in against them. I've got to get one of them out of the way before I forget about it and wait too long, even though we are drawing closer to that training facility upgrade. Like, I've got to sit on that for a year. Nashville, though, we will get that one completed, as it is one of those easier games. And the new one, as none of the 1-stars are available for us, we have 3 outstanding. Oh, right. Clemson, Nashville, and then Ohio State. We just started the Ohio State one. We've got plenty of time to finish that. We could turn around and take another deal next year to bring that cash in once again. But the Nashville one will be done. We'll be 2/3 of the way with Clemson with 1 more year. Yeah, we got to finish it by 2041. Ooh, that actually means we have more time than I thought. 2041? That's not too bad. Yeah, fulfill by 2041. In that case, it's going to be USC instead added to the calendar, so we can get that $12 million payout. We will finish up the Vanderbilt contract, though, and then add Rutgers in. We definitely still need 2 winnable games the way the contract is built this year. In fact, 5 home, 7 away is a little bit of a concern, but that makes sense for a 1-star program that would happen. At least it's not something like 3-9. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.